Hello and welcome back to Crowing FPV. And if you're anything like me, you're not a pilot that likes to do all the flippy floppy, all the freestyle. It's great, don't get me wrong. Personally, me, I like to actually just cruise. And that brings me to this video where I'm going to be going over these two different quads and flight times. Both of these are pretty much the exact same thing, other than this is a Hex version of it and this is the quad version of it. Now, last few videos you probably saw where I was talking about this, flying this, even reviewed this, and this is the Flywoo Hexplorer long range 4-inch. And I decided to grab the Flywoo 4-inch long range Hex, which is called the Hexplorer, and this is the Explorer. So I'm going to put these up in the air and I'm going to show you which one flies better, which one gets longer flight times, and we'll have some fun with it. So if you are a person like me and you are wanting to just cruise around and get some nice footage, just enjoy the flight and just take in the scenery, these are fantastic options for that. They fly for a very long time, they have plenty of power for what you need, and they're just a fantastic cruising drone. I can't say quad because this is a quad, this is a Hex, so I'm saying drone to cover both of these. So let's get on with it. So you know in the past that I have really enjoyed the Flywoo Hexplorer 4. It's a long-range quad, it's 4-inch, and I enjoy it. It's a great cruising quad, and it fits my style of flight. But with the 18650 and right up here using the DJI Action 2, it seems very, very heavy. So I went ahead and I picked up the Flywoo Hexplorer, which is pretty much the identical thing to the 4, except it's running 6 motors versus 4. Both of these drones, they both run the Flywoo Nin 1404-2s, which are 2750 kV each. The layout of the stack and the vista and the camera is all pretty much identical between the two of these. Only real difference between the two of these is in the ESC between the Hex and the quad. Both utilize the Flywoo version 2.0 GPS, which is, from what I understand, the same as about a BN220. Both of these quads are running relatively the identical arms. Both of them have about 3.5 millimeter thick arms with 2 millimeter bottom and top plates. The Hexplorer has a little bit more carbon fiber on the bottom plate so that it can accommodate for the extra arms. It is roughly about 6 millimeters thick total. The Explorer 4 has the same amount of thickness with the bottom plate, but there's just a little bit less of the carbon fiber due to the lack of 2 extra arms. The TPU that comes on these is interchangeable. You can use it between the quad and the Hex. There's no difference between them. It's all the same. And it's decent quality TPU. The ESC in here is a 16x16, 6-in-1, 13 amp, where this is the 4-in-1, 35 amp. Other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. Same motors, same GPS, same antenna, same flight controller, same top plate on both, same TPU, same camera, vista. Everything is, for the most part, identical. The bottom plate on this is a little bit on the different side, being that it has to accommodate for 2 extra arms. So my question today is, which one actually flies better? I actually think that the Hex I actually think this Hex flies longer than the quad. And the reason for that is the 2 extra motors on there, giving it a little bit more oomph. It's a little bit less strain on the other motors. I think it's a little bit more efficient when I'm running it with a larger battery. So my goal here today is to fly both of these using 3 different batteries. The lithium ion 3000 mAh, the 1300 mAh 4S, and an 850. Now, in the past, just the other day, I flew my Hex with this 1300 and I was getting over 10 minutes of flight time. And I flew the Hex with the 850 and I was getting roughly 8 minutes, almost 7 minutes. So I have not flown this quad here with these 2 batteries. So I want to see if this is more efficient or if that's more efficient. Now, the footage that you're going to get is not going to be from the DJI Osmo. It's just going to be from my DVR and my goggles. Reason being is that when you run this little Osmo by itself, you only get X amount of time before the battery runs out, and I would have to constantly I'd get 2 flights and then I had to sit and charge it. I'd get 2 more flights and I had to sit and charge it. Well, I'm doing 6 flights, so I don't want to charge it 3 different times. All right, well, let's get to it. I just flew the Hex with the lithium ion pack, and I flew for about 17 and a half minutes. I could have gone even more. I brought it down to about 3 volts per cell, and I know you can push more out of a lithium ion. I would never bring a Lipo down that low, but lithium ions, I think you can do 2.8, 2.7. So I feasibly would get several more minutes out of this flight, but I wanted to bring it down to 3 because, one, my ADHD was kicking in, and 17 and a half minutes of just flying around is a little rough. However, I will say one thing. I did not fly it with the camera. I left the camera off, just left the mount on. I'm going to do the same with the 4-inch. These 2 right here weigh roughly the same weight, so it's still working the same way. I didn't think that there's a reason to risk possibly losing a camera when I'm doing a test flight. So anyhow, I'm going to fly the 4-inch now, and I'm guessing another 17 minutes. I mean, the lithium ions, they last for a very long time. We know that. There's no question about that. It's just how long can you fly to get it down to that 3 volts. And I know this is not the most perfect way of testing out the batteries. The way to really test it out is really in a controlled environment doing a hover test. But I don't have that opportunity, and whatever. So this is the only way I really test it, is just buzzing around, and I'm not flying like crazy. Getting it to its comfortable cruising speed, and if you know what I mean by that, when you're flying a quad, you generally can tell the cruising speed that it's comfortable at flying at, kind of like that efficient, like good speed that's just nice and easy and smooth. For the 6-inch, or I'm sorry, for the Hex, I was right around that 50 kph mark, so 50 kilometers per hour. I don't know what it is going to be on the quad, but we're about to go find out. So I got up with the Flywoo 4 and with the lithium ion pack, and I got just shy of 15 minutes, excuse me, just shy of 15 minutes. I think it was like 14 minutes and like 50 something seconds. And when it came back, the battery was pretty warm. I brought it down to about 2.8, 2.9, right around about that. So one thing I did notice, because I'm paying more attention this time, sorry, I'm getting flies biting me, is that the cruising speed is definitely a lot less on the Flywoo Hexplorer 4 versus the Hex. The Hex comfortably cruising the entire time at about 50 kph. This was at about 30 kph, so about 20 kilometers per hour slower for that cruising speed. And my throttle was at about 50%, 55%, I would say, to reach that 50 kilometer per hour on the Hex. And for that 30 kilometers per hour, I was at about 55% throttle on the quad. So you can see it's quite a bit more efficient, a little bit faster speed, and it also gets more of a flight time off of that because each motor is working a lot less, so there's less strain on it. So now I'm going to throw it up in the air, and I'm going to run. I'm actually, you know what, I'm going to skip the whole 1300. I'm going to go straight to the 850 because, I mean, already as it stands, we can see by running these lithium ion packs that the Hex is going to be more efficient flyer. So I'm going to throw 850 on there on each and put it up in the air. I just flew the Hex running an 850 brand new RDQ battery, 850 MAH. It is was it 85C? Yeah, I believe they're 85Cs, and both brand new. As you can see, nice, clean, crisp, squared off battery. The Flywoo Hexplorer, sorry, did roughly 8 minutes, almost 8 minutes. The quad, the Flywoo 4, did 7 minutes. So they were about almost exactly a minute difference between the two of these quads, or two of these drones. So I got a little bit more efficient battery life out of this one, both carrying the same load. I actually ran a DJI in both of these. I put the DJI Action 2 on both. Both the mounts are roughly the same weight, give or take a few grams. And I was getting a consistent 50 to 60 kilometers per hour when I was at about probably 30% throttle running the Lipo versus the lithium ion. And in order to get that same amount of speed out of the quad, I was about, I would say, 50% plus throttle in order to get that speed. So all in all, they both fly great. I would say that the Hex definitely flies much smoother, and in my footage you'll see I was really just kind of surfing all around these treetops back behind here and just kind of hovering over and just like surfing them. I hit a couple little tree gaps. It's just, to me, it's a lot smoother of a flying drone versus the 4, and I'm a lot more confident flying the Hex versus the quad. And the reason is it just seems to be a little bit more stable. Now, if that's in the tune itself, I'm not sure. I don't believe so. The tune I have on here is actually a pretty decent tune. It's just so much lighter, and you'll notice it's more, the wind hits it a little bit more. It tends to kind of jitter a bit, if that's the correct term. Anyway, I would say that the Flywoo Hex is a fantastic drone. I can't call it a quad. Anyway, it's a fantastic FPV drone to fly around, cruise around, and have some fun with. So, you know, I got quite a bit more time out of the lithium ion versus on the Hex versus the quad, and same with the 850 mAh lithium polymer. So that's my test, and I hope you enjoyed this video.